Hello, scumbags and fellow Rebel Alliance people. We are rebelling. This is I Rebel. I'm a rebel. You're a rebel. We're all rebels. I'm Andrew Fantasia, and I'm joined by Mr. James Brazile. James, are you ready to rebel today?
I'm totally ready to rebel. I missed last week's episode, so I'm a week behind. No, I'm joking. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk these last two episodes of Rebels. 90 minutes to go.
James,
90 minutes to go.
90 minutes. James is actually so behind, he doesn't know who AP5 is yet, but we're going to get him caught up.
Which HUD is that?
Well, last night, 2 episodes aired. Nothing consequential really happened in either of them. In fact, we were considering skipping this episode of I Rebel altogether in favor of something else.
Yeah, I found this last season to be very bland.
Very much so. No lore, you know, no, just nothing deep about it.
No.
That's what they call sarcasm, kids. Last night was 2 of the... You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. One of last night's 2 episodes was probably one of the most beautiful Star Wars stories I have ever experienced in my life. I don't know if you would agree with that, but I was so in love with what I saw. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start at the beginning, which is episode 412, called Wolves and a Door. So what I like about these 2 episodes is that we're still feeling Kanan's death. I feel like in cartoons like this, it's very easy for them to, you know, have a character die and then have people be sad, and then next week everybody's joking around and making puns about Jogan fruit again. But that's not the case here. You know, Filoni knows, like, these people are still, this is a fresh wound. They're still very sad about their friend, and they kept it consistent, and I liked that. Do you know what I mean? Like, cartoons really fall into that trap.
Oh, they could have. I think season 1 had anyone gone in season 1, I think we would have seen something a little more along those lines, where, oh, they're gone. Yeah. Okay, maybe there would have been one brief mention, but, you know, you can go on. But no, they're ending the series, and I think, you know, we've talked about it before, where this is a children's show, but it's growing up and it's maturing, and at the heart of it, what makes it beat is Dave Filoni. And I've been reading, because I was away last week, so I was actually behind the week of the episodes. So I watched those 2 episodes right away, and then I started reading all of the interviews with Dave Filoni about what happened last week with Kanan and stuff. And it's like, he totally appreciated the moment, and that's what's going to carry this to the finale. And I think the finale kind of hinders on the loss of Kanan in a lot. I haven't seen it, obviously, but I feel like because of Kanan, that's what really, I mean, that's what helps Ezra grow and actually eventually enters the doorways, because of Kanan's teachings.
Right, yeah, he needed all of that to get where he is now. And I'm glad that they're, like you said, Kanan's death is part of the plot. It's not just the character's gone, let's go back to being like, Chopper, where's my toothbrush? You know, thankfully, they're not going that route. Now, I'm consulting my notes here, because there was a lot of frantic scribbling, mostly just done in pure joy during these 2 episodes. We got Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah.
Malcolm McDowell showed up. It was so nice to hear his voice. He's playing a guy named Minister Hayden, who I thought at first that character was going to be... I wasn't thinking... I was actually thinking Yup Tashu from the Aftermath books.
No, I was going Vinny all the way.
Vinny is that's a good point, too. It's too bad. Like, he could have been either one of those so easily. Yeah. But they made a new character. I guess that's fine, because
I think as fans we're like, oh, but ultimately it doesn't always have to connect. And at the same time, people always complain that the galaxy's too small. So I mean, maybe it shouldn't have been the same guy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, I'm not, pissed that it wasn't him, and I'm just James is quitting now. No more Rebels. I find it kind of funny that part of being in the Emperor's inner circle, part of being tight with Palpatine, means you have to wear hideous hats.
Yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I want that explored more.
That's my Halloween costume this year is Mr. Hayden. Just the hat, though. I'm just gonna wear my street clothes for the rest of it. Now I noticed a lot of beautiful things going on with Kevin Kiner's score. There's a lot of Raiders of the Lost Ark in there.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it made me, when I heard the score, particularly with the doorway and with the 3 figures on the door, who we'll get into in a second, and it was very operatic, it was very ancient, it sounded very Duel of the Fatesy. I don't know about. Tell me if you felt this way, but when I heard that, I felt like that kind of music, that kind of ancient sort of old school choir music, I feel like that's been missing in these new Star Wars movies.
Oh, 100%.
We've never really had anything like it.
No, I think that's, one of the things I always say that is my least favorite part of The Force Awakens is the sound of the lightsabers. And I have to, I mean, it's kind of the same point, but a little bit different. But the sound of lightsaber in the next episode we're going to talk about was like perfection. You know what I mean? And it's like Rebels, and maybe maybe this is a credit to Filoni and the team who's been there from the start. Is like it's the little things. It's like these little tiny things that most people wouldn't really know. Like the music, most people like Rogue One. A lot of people. There are people that didn't like it. People that like it, but most people it was music. Lightsaber sound effects. Yeah, it's a lightsaber sound effect, but they're not up to par. I would say a lot of it is not up to par. Like it's good, it's not bad, but it's not up to par with what we're used to, and definitely. What you're saying, the music in these 2 episodes was like, I was like, I'll buy the score today if you want.
Yeah, and I mean, like the Rogue One soundtrack had that Guardians of the Wills track, which was very old school and biblical, but the part of the track that hit those wonderful heights was not even in the movie. That's just purely from the soundtrack. So I missed that, and I think. Like, you and I both liked The Last Jedi, but I think a lot of us before that came out were looking forward and hoping to see a lot of ancient lore being brought to the table in that movie. We were hoping to see Luke talk about old temples or whatever, show Rey something, and that never really came about in that movie. It was still very much grounded in the time period it was set in. So it was nice to hear a choir in Star Wars again. I really dug that.
That was the other thing that I came, and I like The Last Jedi, but a lot of like that lore stuff when Luke's talking to Rey about the Force and whatnot. I just think Kanan last season nailed that stuff even better than Luke did in The Last Jedi. Like they're like the things that are happening in Rebels for a children's show especially, like a cartoon on Disney XD. You're like, man, I wish it's so fleshed out. And so, and we talk about how the episodes are too short sometimes, and they still manage to have these ways where, they brought Mortis, because even before you I think maybe when you started speculating on Mortis, around that time, we were like, well, Mortis, I don't know if Mortis can come into Rebels because it's kind of out there. Like, how do you bring Mortis into Rebels? And it made so much sense. Like, they just were like, here it is, take it. Not spoiler alert for this next half of this episode, but you know what I mean? Like they just have this core understanding of Star Wars and how to deal with it and how to respect the past, but they also like, because the other thing I say about with Rey is how Rey's just all of a sudden like this Force user, and they kind of acknowledge that that's the thing in Rebels. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they acknowledge that the Force is in everybody in Rebels, but they flesh it out in such a way that's just, they're just nailing it right now.
They are. It's and speaking of Dave Filoni, he's a big fat liar because he told us that we're not getting Sheev Palpatine, and guess who shows up? I'm happy to see him. I'm happy to see him, and it is Ian McDiarmid apparently, which is awesome, and he is. I forgot how scary he sounds. We've talked about how Sam Witwer can do a pretty damn good Palpatine, and he can, but there's a certain part of that voice that's pure McDiarmid, and you can't get that. There's no substitute for that, and we got that in this, and he still sounds great. In fact, I feel like his voice sounds even deeper and scarier in this than it does in the films, and it just made me want to see that character come back more, as long as it's McDiarmid playing him. I just want to see him one more time in live action while we still have him.
There's so many stories to tell that they could throw him into anything, really. I mean, Lords of the Sith is such a good book, and that's a one-off movie right there. Like, the one-off movies can be fun like that, and you could, and then you could see like the terror that he has in him. I don't know. Sure, I'm with you. Why not?
I know, he's there. He's ripe for the plucking. And we saw a little bit. I don't know if this was just wishful thinking on Hera's part, but it looked like we saw a little bit of Kanan Force Ghost going on. I personally think that was a Force ghost, and she just sort of, because she's not in tune with the Force, she can't really sit and communicate with it like Luke could or something. But I don't know. Do you think that was the real deal? Like, were we seeing Kanan's ghost, or was that just sort of Hera's heart?
I think that was Hera's heart, but I think it was Hera's heart that meant like what we saw. What Hera was hoping is what we saw, but Kanan was there, like spiritually more than anything, like not in a physical ghost form. I don't think at all, because he's a wolf now, Andrew. If you no, but I don't think. I think he's there in the way when somebody passes that they're always with you, more than he's actually following them in ghost form. Because I don't think he had that training and he's not there. And I think that's the point of the wolves, right? Is he can do something with the wolf? Because that wolf, doesn't the wolf have like his arm plate on his head? And
it does, yeah.
So I think I didn't watch it. I was really sick when I watched that one. I was like, oh my god, this is so good. That was it. By the way, those 2 episodes were fantastic. Also,
last week's, they were a lot of fun. Part of me hopes that was actually Kanan's ghost, strictly if for no other reason than it can put to rest the whole argument of why we saw Hayden Christensen in Return of the Jedi, because the Kanan ghost we saw, that was like season 1 Kanan.
Oh, that's a good point.
It wasn't how he looked when he died. But yeah, that would just be like a fun little thing. But I'm cool either way with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now the big papa here, the big deal is this painting on the rocks. Mortis is a thing again, and the father, the daughter, and the son. The way that painting was animated when it moved was beautiful.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like Zelda the Wind Waker, the art style of it. It was gorgeous.
Cells,
and the fact that we have now these paintings that can be changed to alter different things in the world around them using the Force. That's awesome. I want more. I wish that was a thing like in every Star Wars movie now. And I was right about the hands. Last week I speculated that the hands were, like the sun is making a fist, etc. And I was like, okay, cool. So that ties into the mural. And then we got the whole thing with the wolves running, and they form the doorway, and our episode ends there. Can you imagine if we would have had to wait a week after that?
I almost did, because in Canada we didn't get these episodes.
Yeah.
I know that was it's so weird how, not weird, but obviously the plan was 2, 2, 3. Well, we haven't seen next week, so who knows? But because like last week's episodes were very much a 1-2 punch. This week was like one long episode. He goes into the wall, and then the next episode starts with him in the wall. Like, there's no break there. It's not like to be continued. It's like, no, this is one story. Keep going. Last week, Kanan dies. You pick up, but it's still kind of like, well, this you still had that separate episode feel. This one, they're blending together as one in a lot of ways. And by the way, when he goes in, can I just mention in Mortis how it looks for a second? Super Mario Brothers 3, World 8, Dark World. I was like, I just want to play Mario 3 right now. That's all I was thinking. Like, I don't even care what happens. I just want to beat Bowser. We got to beat Bowser. Let's go, Ezra.
Yeah, we might as well dive into that. Like the next episode now, A World Between Worlds, episode 13. Oh my god. Like my heart was just like, I've never reacted so many times to Rebels, like verbally.
Just picture you on your couch. Yes! Yes!
It was a lot of screaming, and it was like 2 a.m., so I had to keep that shit under control. Yeah. But that opening shot of, just the transition where we slowly zoom out and we hear the voices, and we hear voices from all across Star Wars. I mean, I was trying to keep track of all the voices I heard in that world, and like I could hear, like there were so many that I looked up later who we hear talking, and there's like 24 people, but I could make out like Obi-Wan, Yoda, Shmi. I heard Maz Kanata in there.
Is Qui-Gon in there?
I don't know who you heard.
I think Qui-Gon.
Yeah, Qui-Gon. I think Qui-Gon from Clone Wars.
Yeah, it was Clone Wars. There was so many. Well, Princess Leia. Obviously.
Leia. Apparently, Poe Dameron and Rey were there as well. I didn't hear them though.
I don't. You know, I didn't. I was told to turn up the volume, and I was so like, oh my god, and I was coughing up a lung also. So I was like, oh, this is so good. It was like just like I said earlier, the attention to detail on everything, and they're like, this is like just. It's like celebrating Star Wars. Is what they're doing. They're like, we're gonna end this series and we're gonna celebrate everything that's come before, and in a small way, even though we can't really, the things that are about to come. I thought it was fantastic. Wouldn't it be cool if we heard Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo? Like if they had like a voice. He's not really associated with the Force so much, but like something from like a movie that's not out yet, and you're like, what is that? That would be awesome, right?
That would be like, I would stand up and I would clap.
Well, you wouldn't even know. You'd be like, why would they add that? And then in 5 years, you're like, I've heard that line before.
That's when I would stand up and clap. I'd be like in the middle of a theater, like, oh, what's this guy's
no one knows what's going on. You're like, Rebels, guys. Like,
it's from Rebels. Come on, build the program.
That old cartoon, man.
Remember, they animated it with like computers and everything. It was ancient. But this world that we got, I'm so glad, like, Filoni never got the chance to end Clone Wars, and now he's getting a chance to end something, and I'm so glad he has that opportunity, because this felt to me like, and I bring the show up all the time, I love Lost, this felt like one of the final episodes of Lost, when it was like literally how we are now, like 2 episodes till the finale, and they gave us this one whole episode that was just about the ancient history of the island, and it had none of the main characters in it, but it was just pure answers from start to finish, and that's what this felt like to me. This was like Filoni saying, like, you've stuck with me for however many years since Clone Wars Season 1, here you go, baby. And that's how you end something like this, and I hope J.J. Abrams is taking notes, because he's got to learn his endings, but Filoni, I think he nailed it with this, and he didn't answer everything. We don't know what the world is or how it works, but I mean, essentially, what we saw happen in that world is pretty much, I think, the closest we'll ever get to time travel in Star Wars.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you said, though, he didn't answer everything. And that's a good ending, though, is you answer what needs to be answered and you let the rest kind of, linger and let us figure that one out first. But there are answers. Time travel, I think that is Star Wars answers to time travel. Let's never touch time travel in any other way, shape, or form. We don't even have to go back to that if we don't, like, I don't use it as a cop-out ever, you know what I mean? And I didn't feel like they did, because I don't know what the plan for Ahsoka is. We all knew she was coming back in some way, right? Whether she was actually dead or not. So was she dead for 2 years? I guess she was.
I think she was just like nowhere. Like she didn't exist for 2 years, because when he pulled her out, he pulled her into the present. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't want like someone be like, well, we could do this and then we could bring Kanan back, and I'm not talking about in Rebels. I'm talking about, in 5 years when Dave Filoni's not doing the cartoon, so we'll be like, I really like Kanan. Let's go save him. Like, please don't do that. Because Ahsoka brought up a good point. She says if you save Kanan, everyone else is going to die, including Ezra. And so then could he even save Kanan? Because Ezra would be dead. So that was a good point. I thought it was cool, though. But, yeah, I just want to know what is the end game plan for Ahsoka?
Well, one of the things that made me giddy, mostly because it validated my theory, was when they were looking at the mural originally, Sabine's like, what's the deal with that owl? And Ezra's like, I've seen it before every time Ahsoka was around. And I was just going like this. I was like, yep. And
the owl was just in there. The Convor.
Yeah.
Convor?
It's just, Convor. It's just chilling on top of an archway there.
Which is weird.
And it has a name. Yeah.
Yeah.
She called it a name like...
Shibowitz.
Mirai? Something with an M. I think it was Mirai or something. So that connection to the daughter is 100% there with Ahsoka, which is perfect. Filoni remembered that, this little thing happened where she died and was brought back, so he remembered to make that important. Now, the whole thing of pulling Ahsoka out was, like, obviously that opens up a can of worms, like you said, and I think the writers of this episode they anticipated what you said you feared, which is people taking advantage of that further down the line. So I think that whole issue of we can't let Palpatine get access to this place and you can't go running willy-nilly and saving Kanan, I think that was almost like a wink and a nod to future writers, like, hey, do not abuse this, please. Like, this is supposed to be something bigger than us. And like, bringing Ahsoka into that fold was so cool because we got this opportunity to see her, but it still kind of leaves her on a note where we're not sure what's going to happen next. And when she leaves, when she runs out for another portal and she leaves, is she back on Malachor?
That's what it looked like.
Is that what I saw?
That's what it looked like to me.
Okay, yeah. Because they made a big deal of like panning the camera to show where she is, but like the way in the screen I was watching it, like the color was off because it was all, it was poorly streamed. So
but it looked
like I think that's it.
It looked like they both came out the doorway they entered.
Okay, all right.
That's what it looked like.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that makes sense why we, at the end of season 2, we saw her walk through the rubble. So that's awesome. All right, so now she's still out on the ether, which is cool. I don't think we'll see Ahsoka again on Rebels. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know, because I still don't like the idea that she's out there during Luke's time. I know she's not a Jedi, but she's a Jedi. Like, let's call a spade a spade.
Right.
Like, she's not a Jedi because she doesn't believe in code, but she's also not a bad guy. And there's an empire running around. She's not just gonna. I mean, she did it before. She became full grown. Like, she started the rebellion in a way. Like, she's not just gonna sit there while Luke and the rebels do stuff. So that is one thing that I feel they need to resolve. So I don't know how they want to do it. I don't care how they do it. Whatever they do is fine. What I mean is whatever they do is fine. I don't mean I don't care. I just mean, just tell me. But don't have her just be like, no, I can't help you. I just think that's kind of weak, especially on her character. Like, you taken this annoying little character and made her one of the most beloved Star Wars characters. And I think Filoni knows it's his baby also. Let's not forget that. Like, she needs a send off that is appropriate. She didn't get it in the season 2 finale, which we all thought she was going to get, and now she's back. And yeah, like you said, whether it's in Rebels or the next animated series or maybe a movie, I doubt a movie though, but I think she lives in animation. That's where she'll stay. But at some point, she needs a send off to everything. Give me the answer why she's not around to help Luke out, because yeah, she's not, like I said, she's not a Jedi, but she's not a Sith. She's for the greater good, and the greater good was there on Endor. It was there at the Battle of Yavin. Like, it's been there, and she would be there.
Yeah, she's not a complacent person. She's gonna take action. I think if we do see her again in Rebels, it'll be in the whole Mortis daughter sort of way. Like, it won't be. I don't think we'll get like Ahsoka, helping them take down Thrawn's Star Destroyer or anything like that. I think it'll be in a more metaphysical way, like we did here. I think she understands what Mortis is and what it needs, and I think she's going to be the one to sort of carry that part on. But then we got the whole confrontation with my boy Chief Palpatine here. Now, this opened up a lot of possibilities because, like, obviously he's trying to get access to this world so he can abuse that power, because that's pretty much like God mode. That's like the cheat code to the universe if you can access that place. And when he first shows up in that portal, he's chanting some magic words in an old language. What did you think of that?
I loved it. It was the Sheev that we're all hoping to see. I'm really curious how, like that. There's your movie right there. Like, how does he get that incantation? Like, how does he get that? And it was a strange moment, though. I thought I was just tripping. I was like, Palps, Sheevy. That's not. We knew he was coming from the trailer. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, when I heard those magic words, and I saw him make blue fire, whatever that is, to me, that cemented the fact that if there are answers and or ties and or anything to the Old Republic, the ancient ways of the Jedi and Sith, if there is any source of information that could give us a broader picture of what's going on in this galaxy, it is that man. It is Emperor Palpatine. The fact that somebody in that modern era has access to this, this magic incantation, whatever, like that, I bet you if you were to sit down and have a conversation with Sheev, he could tell you without, lying. Like he would know legitimately, like the galaxy began 2 billion years ago, and here's what happened. Like I feel like he knows pretty much everything that there is to know, and there's so much potential there now to use that as a way to bring in more information until we get these Old Republic movies or whatever they're going to be. And this made me think, because he really wanted access to this world between worlds. I wonder now if this is what he was talking about in the Tarkin book when he told Vader, you know what it is we're really after.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, because he, I can't imagine anything that he would want more than unlimited God mode.
Yeah.
So that, and he spends a lot of time in that book meditating in the little Sith chapel that's underneath the Jedi Temple. So that seems like that's where he would have been when he's doing this crazy magic fire thing in this episode. So I think it all kind of fits together. If I was to put money on it, I would say, yeah, what he wanted, what he was talking to Vader about is, I want that world. I know it exists. I want to get access to it. Now, do you think that, like, how many people do you think are aware this world exists? Do you think, like, Yoda knows about it? Do you think Snoke or Luke know about it?
I'm going to say Yoda for sure. I'm going to say at this point in time, Snoke does not. Obviously, Luke doesn't at this point. Snoke's a curious case now because the novelization of The Last Jedi is coming out in a week today. And there have been leaks on Reddit where we are learning a lot more about Snoke. I don't know if you've seen that stuff or not. But Palpatine knew about Snoke. And I don't think at this point Snoke would have been a person that would have known about this world. I think he eventually, by the time we meet Snoke, he does know about this world. But I think it's very few. I would say Yoda for sure, because he's Yoda. Qui-Gon. Sheev, obviously. Vader, definitely not. Well, maybe Vader. I don't know. I feel like... I think Sheev is like limited what he knows of the world. He knows something, but just like not all of it. And I would say that's probably it. Maybe to some level, Mace Windu at some point might have known something about it, but I don't.
Ooh, maybe.
Yeah, because he was high up. But I don't. I can't see. Like, if too many people know about it, it's not special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that. But I would say those guys for sure. And Ahsoka, obviously Ahsoka now.
Yeah. I agree about Vader. I feel like Palpatine would have been very careful what information he parcels out to Vader, and we've gotten so much Vader ancillary material over the past 5 years, and nowhere in any of those comics or books or whatever, nowhere did I get the impression that Vader knows there are ancient magic words that can make blue fire. Like that just, I feel like if that's something Vader knew, it's something that might have come to the forefront at some point. I think that's strictly a Sheev thing, and that's what's so fascinating about the Emperor to me, is that we very rarely, we see the Emperor a lot, we see Palpatine a lot, but we very rarely see him when he's all by himself.
Yeah.
Usually Vader's in the room, usually somebody's in the room. So in Tarkin and in this is the only time we've ever really seen him by himself, and that's when he displays sort of the fact that he knows some shit, and he's, there's stuff out there that is beyond everybody besides him, and that to me just, Oh, there's so many doors that you could open. It's literally like the world between worlds. Like there's so many now different paths you could take. And there was a very interesting thing that Malcolm McDowell's guy said there, Minister Hayden. He said something to Sabine when they were studying the drawing about how he said these three figures have appeared constantly in Jedi art and texts throughout the millennia.
Yeah.
That gave me goosebumps when I heard that, because it was like these three people are the Jedi since the dawn of time have been seeing them. What do you make of that?
We need the next series to be Old Republic, and we need to see more of them.
Yes.
They are the beginnings of it all. I remember when The Last Jedi was being rumored, there was that story about the brother and the sister at the tree, and they were both Force sensitive, and the brother killed the sister, and then the sister came back. That obviously didn't come to fruition. It was kind of a cool theory that somebody had, but this is kind of that in a lot of ways, right? The dark side, the light side, and then it's just, yeah. The lore is, like I said, like Filoni gets the lore. It's like, it's not just here. Like, yeah, Star Wars is here in this moment, but it's also 1,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago. It's like, it's way back, and there's so much to explore, and he pulls it off better than anybody.
And I get giddy just thinking about like revelations we could get about that. Like I still want to learn more about what's his name there, the Prime Jedi from that mosaic in Luke's cave. Like there's so much there to be explored, and I really, especially if Filoni's involved now, at this point, I will get down on my knees and beg Lucasfilm to make the next cartoon about Luke, R2, and Lor San Tekka basically being Indiana Jones and going and finding these temples and, you know, discovering lore and discovering Old Republic secrets. If that was a cartoon, oh my god, I would be on cloud nine. You could, I don't know if she'll be alive at that point, but you could throw Afra in there. I mean, that's her forte too. I mean, there's so much you could play with. There's so many like new worlds you could discover. Like I literally cannot think of a better cartoon at this point than something like that.
This is what's frustrating to me about the new canon, is we're talking about all the possibilities and the potential, and everybody's so pissed off at it right now. Just write some books on this stuff. Like, this is all we need. Just give us, like, you know, what was it? Tolkien had that, like, the Lord of the Rings, the Middle Earth, like, Bible book. You know, like, it's just this nonsense. You know? Just give us that stuff. That's all we need, right? Like, just tell us that there's and if when you give us that, we know that you have this plan. Because Rebels right now is the only thing that looks like there's a plan. You know, and it's, but I'll bet you this is not where they started the series. This was not the ending, I don't think, to the series when they started. Maybe parts of it, but as a whole, no. It evolved and it grew and it made changes, and so it works very similar to how the sequel trilogy is working, but they're pulling it off in this way where we're like, oh my god, there's this, and we continue to want more, but we want more because we're learning more, not because they're hiding more. They're showing us, and because they're showing us, we're like, well, now I want more of that, because what you showed me was so cool. Instead, in the movies, what we're getting is, we're gonna not really show you this, and you're like, well, I kind of want to know what that is, because it's, you know, that's like, there's two different ways of doing secretive storytelling, and they're pulling it off in Rebels in this way where you're like, now I need to go back. You need to tell me Old Republic, where these three figures show up somewhere, and then, you know, Revan shows up and he sees them, and the Bane shows up and he sees it. Like, I'm just pulling names out because anybody can come across these things now, and then they can have a different effect on everybody. And the possibilities are so endless, and for some reason though, these books and comics and everything, they're so pigeonholed on Luke Skywalker, Han Solo. Just branch out. Just tell me something. You know, just tell me something I don't know. I don't care what happens in between this scene and that scene in A New Hope. I don't care. I want to know what happened 1,000 years ago. Or tell me, I kind of do want to know what happened between Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Shadows of the Empire. Like,
yes. But
instead, they're giving you, like, well, guess what? When they were in the trash compactor, when we cut away a 3PO, this is what happened. I don't care. Like, I just do something that I care about. And there's so many possibilities, and this show is opening them up, and hopefully Lucasfilms, like, they stop being afraid to expand and just let the storytellers do their job.
Well, here's hoping that once 9 is out of the way, then that's exactly what they'll do. Like I hope that they had like 20 amazing ideas back in 2012, and they were like, okay, but before we do that, let's close the book on Luke, Han, Leia, and the Skywalker story. I haven't. I'm a little behind on the comics because I always wait for the trades, but I really am looking forward to reading in the Star Wars run now, the Ghosts of Jeddah, or the Ashes of Jeddah, whatever it's called, where Luke and Leia go to Jeddah and they find the ruins, like of just the city, because I want to know if they talk about any Old Republic lore, if they go through the Temple of the Wills and find some stuff or whatever. I don't know if you've read them. Have you read them?
I have not read them. I'm waiting for trades. I've been so disappointed in all of the comics individually. As a whole, I like them, but individually, spending $5-7 on them is not my thing. Yeah. The Vader comic I heard is just through the roof. It's like amazing. So I've got to get my hands on that. But I'm waiting for trades now, because $5 to $7 for a comic, and then half of it's ads. Yeah. I was so let down by Darth Maul. That was the problem. I love Darth Maul, and I was so let down spending all that money on it, going there every week or once a month or whatever to get it, and I was just like, what? Why? At the end of it, I was like, no, sorry, I'm moving on. Yeah.
Trades are the way to go. Yeah. Tomorrow, actually, the Mace Windu trade comes out, so I'll finally get a chance to look at that. But yeah, these 2 episodes were beautiful. At the end of the night, I was just ecstatic. I could not wait to see more of these ancient stories. There are so many ancient stories in this galaxy to be told. I mean, if nothing else in the past has made me want Old Republic, then this still would have. Yeah. I mean, like, bring it on at this point. Now it's like episode 9. I still look forward to with all my heart, but I can't wait to see the ancient lore of Star Wars being told on the big screen, and hopefully it'll look as beautiful as this episode did.
My only fear is who's making it and what's their understanding of it. Because right now I'm at this. Then I'm out.
Surprise!
It's Andrew. No, my feeling though is still like the thing with Rebels that we've been talking about is Filoni has been there from not the start, but like 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Like, he's been there for so long, and he was Lucas's Padawan, and he understands Star Wars and the lore and the myth and what makes Star Wars. And it's cool that they're getting all these other people to come in, but what separates what the Game of Thrones guys are doing and Rian Johnson's doing from what an Indiegogo campaign is doing, like a fan film? What is the difference? And the thing with Filoni is I feel like Filoni is that difference, because he has grown with it, and the way he develops it and appreciates it. Not that anyone else doesn't appreciate it. It's just, what's the difference between a fan film and an actual Star Wars film? And I think it's the understanding of Star Wars as a whole. And when a lot of it, you feel like that doesn't feel like Star Wars. It feels like somebody like you or I were just like, let's make a Star Wars movie. Okay. And whereas Filoni's like, he fan services, but in a different way. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but there's a different feeling with the stories that he's telling compared to like everything else that we've seen in the new regime, I think, anyway.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's very, and it's a very skilled way to tell the story. Filoni kind of grabs you, and he's got this grin on his face, and like he knows everything that's going to happen, and he slowly parcels out that info to you. And I just hope that we are in the very early years of the Disney regime, and they're still learning. And I hope that the biggest lesson right now that Story Group and everybody and Kathleen Kennedy has taken away from all of this is that look at how much positivity gets projected towards Rebels from the fans, and look at how much negativity got projected towards the movies from the fans. And I think what you can learn from that is, if you're going to have what you boasted in 2012 to be a beautifully crafted, interconnected Star Wars cinematic universe, then don't write a script unless you know what the movie before you is going to be. And I think that was the biggest oversight on their part when it came to just Rian Johnson's script. Regardless of what you thought of the movie, that's not a smart move. And I hope now that when they see things like these 2 Rebels episodes and how people are reacting to them, because I have not seen a bad reaction. Like, I was online all night waiting for those to go up, and this morning I have not seen a bad reaction to anything from
I'll give you one.
So, oh, here we go.
It's too colorful.
Yeah! Where's the gray, man?
Wait, the whole thing's black and white. Wait. Zeb looks like a cartoon.
Yeah, why is he purple, man? That's so lame.
So stupid.
He should be gray.
Chopper.
Anyway, Kit. Chopper doesn't speak English. What is this?
Where's AP5?
I don't know 4 languages. Yeah, where is AP5 and Callus for that matter?
And Rex. Gone. They're just gone.
They're gone.
No, they're coming back. Rex is wearing his Return of the Jedi garb. It's good. We're good.
Oh, sweet. Okay, good. So bottom line, kids, read scripts if you're going to write for that same series. But that has been I Rebel.
Wait.
Wait. Yes.
We need to do one last prediction for next week. Come on.
That's right.
Come on.
Yeah,
it's
the last episode.
It's 90 minutes long, I think. It starts at 8:30 p.m. in America, and it starts in 2 weeks at 8:30 p.m. in Canada because we suck here, apparently. Because we have, I don't know what's going on. We have warmer weather than Rome right now, and yet for some reason they won't give us Disney or Rebels early.
Do you still have? Actually, no. I'll ask you later. This might be a fun thing, but we'll talk about it later. All right. So what's the prediction?
You think of it because I'm sick.
Okay. Let's say,
is it going to be awesome?
Never tell me the odds. Will we see the death of another member of the Spectre crew?
The Ghost crew?
Yeah. I'm going to say
no.
45%.
I'm going 0.
Wow. Okay.
Ezra's the question mark. You got to do something with Ezra. And I don't know what it is. It depends on what your definition of death is, I suppose. Because Kanan is
becoming one with the Force counts as death.
Okay, so Kanan has become one with the cosmic Force, so he's dead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick with my guns, and go. No, Ezra will sacrifice himself in another sort of manner. Does the Mortis thing count as death? I don't know. Here's the thing. After these last 2 episodes, I was like, Zeb doesn't need to die. Hera, we know, is not going to die. Sabine could, but why? And she could sacrifice herself. She kind of did that this week, though. You know, she was like, I will be arrested so that you can figure this out. Like, that was a cool moment. We didn't talk about that. Was a cool moment where they actually went through it. Like, she wasn't a hero. She didn't take down the 2 stormtroopers. She actually went. And I was like, whoa, what? What's going on here? This is not... Any other episode, she would have like, pop, 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 bang, bang. I've stunned them. Let's go. She has an old-fashioned phone.
Yeah.
And this one, she's like, no, it's me. You got me. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess does Callus count? Does Rex count? I don't know. I don't want Rex to die because I want him to be Return of the Jedi. Unless this somehow ends on Return of the Jedi, which would be cool and weird. Callus maybe, but I'm not going to count him as the crew. So of the 4 remaining ones, there's 4, right? Chopper's not counting. Chopper's not going to.
Yeah, Chopper we don't count. So.
Chopper and Hera are in Rogue One, so they survive, and Hera's in Return of the Jedi, so she survives. I say no to Zeb. I'm going to go 40% on Sabine, and I'm going to go 45 on Ezra.
I agree. Yeah, Ezra said the same thing Kanan did.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is, I know what to do now.
And if you heard, and in the trailer for next week's episode, he says, the Force will be with you always, which is what Kanan says to Ezra. Was his last words or was it ghost form? Something, I can't remember, but it was one of those things. So, yeah, they're mirroring each other. So, something's up with Ezra. I'm really... And Filoni even said that the series was kind of about his growth, so let's see where he grows to. It's kind of cool. We're ending. 90 minutes to go. 90 minutes.
90 more minutes, folks. One more I Rebel left. Almost a year to the day since we started it. It's been a ride. We'll see you next week for the final act of defiance against those mean old meanheads in the Galactic Empire. Until then, I'm Andrew Fantasia.
I'm James Rosile.
Oh yeah, you're that guy. You're James Rosile.
Yeah.
And you, sir, were always scum.
Rebels, scum.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.